welcome to your craft along. We've got an amazing craft along for you today. It's a whole hour of crafting real time, so you can get all your goodies together, you can craft along, and it's going to be amazing. Now we're looking at today is those new embossing folders that we brought you out over birthday, which I know our Debbie Robinson and Craig brought to you on the launch, and you can go back and watch that show and get lots of other ideas. But we do have an amazing project for you to follow on with today, and the person that's going to be showing you that amazing craft along is none other than the Scotty Hottie. I mean, a weekend of all times to bring you him. Craig, you've got a fabulous project here. I love this one.
Ah, thank you. Yeah, it's a lovely, lovely set. Sometimes, you know, you're having to think, right, I'm going to use a folder. What do I use? What sentiment do I use? All done together for you. So everything's there to complement the folder, the sentiment stamp, as well as, of course, having that actual icon. I know Debbie will go over them all just shortly, where we've got some for all occasions, but then we've got this one here, and this is the one that we're going to be making live within this weekend show. So this one here, we're going with the Christmas theme. Now I thought, let's go with that Christmas theme this Sunday here, where we're going to do a little bit of inking, but we're going to use what we were given, and that was our fingers. So that's what we're going to be using just shortly. But to actually make what I'm going to be making here within the show, then this is the list of items that you're going to need. Now this is, of course, if you're wanting to make exactly what I'm doing. Now you're going to be needing your Winter Snowflake 3D folder with the stamp and die. You're going to be needing your water reactive ink pads. Now I'm going to be using the blue tone, so I'm going to be using baby blue, ocean blue and midnight from the water reactive. I've got some blue linen cardstock, I've got some navy blue linen cardstock, a card blank that's 5x7. I'm going to go in with our Touch of Sparkle gems and some bubble wrap, which I'm sure many of us have got from our parcels. And then the additional elements, we've got the G2, you can use the G2, I'm going to use the MIDI. We're going to need the guillotine, paper trimmer, we're going to need our stencil and stamping platform, pokey tool, tape pen, low tack tape, and then your tacky glue. So that's everything that we're going to be needing to, of course, create this card. And I'm just thinking as well, Debbie, if you tuned in during the week to Sheena and Leanne with the liquid colour launch, that would be good to be using within this craft along as well.
Oh, I love that idea, absolutely. And I'm sure you'll get all your ideas of what you want to do and how you can adapt or create exactly the same as what Craig's done. Now, the things that we're going to be using today are these gorgeous embossing folders. And like Craig said, they come with everything. So you've got your embossing folder, you've got your stamp, and you've got that die set. These are just exceptional that you get everything that you need in one pack. And I love the fact that we've themed these. So you've got your Christmas, you've got your fall, you've got your everyday. Let's have a look at those actual embossing folders and what you're getting in each pack. This one is your Winter Snowflake. So you can see you've got that beautiful, I mean, look at the level embossing on there. That's one Craig's going to be using. It's just stunning. Then you've got your snowflake die. So that's going to come in handy for so many things. And then you've got your sentiment. I love the sentiments on these, Craig, because you literally, they cut out and they're so delicate, aren't they? Just beautiful. Then we've got our festive foliage, which is beautiful. So you've got all that sort of foliage on the back with the poinsettia, and then your die and your sentiment that comes with that one. This one's so stunning. Your blooming florals, and you've got that. I mean, you're going to be using these embossing folders time and time again. That gorgeous rose and your sentiment with there as well. And then we've got our splendid butterflies. So your butterfly embossing folder, then you've got your die and that sentiment. Now, if you want to go for those on their own, you can absolutely do that. Head across to the website and you'll be able to find those. But we still have that amazing Showstopper. Look at that price, £44 or $52, which is incredible. But let me show you what you're getting in that Showstopper. You're getting your darks. Now, your dark Centura Pearl are one of my absolute favourites because the colourways that you're getting in here are incredible. Not only do you get your purples and your blacks, you get the most amazing blues, greys and sort of bronze colours. So these are absolutely gorgeous, and they're going to be great for your mats and layering. They're going to be great to emboss, even for your card blanks, which are great. We then popped in some luxury cardstock in your mirror and glitter. So you're getting your satin mirror card, your matte mirror card, and then you're getting your your shiny mirror card and your glitter card in that 10 sheets of each. On top of that, you're then getting your ink tools to be able to do all your inking techniques, plus your additional little extra sponges as well. And then we've popped in one of our tape pens as well. So you're getting all of that and your cardstock, and that's for your whole of your show bundle. Now, if you're going for the show bundle, then you want a bonus buy, and your bonus buy is incredible because it's my favourite. I love these ink pads and the colours that we're getting on here are truly exceptional. I love every single one of them. I love pigment ink pads. I make no bones about that. You can do so much with them. They are so juicy, they're opaque, they're chalky, they're beautiful. You've got your plum jam, we've got the green topaz, we've got that midnight, which is one that Craig's using, although a different ink pad, but you can still use the midnight in that one. We've got our sandstorm, we've got our damson wine, which is fast becoming one of my new favourites. I'm using it all the time. I love that colour. We've also got the parakeet, another firm favourite from everyone. And then the last one, we've got the Bordeaux in there. So really good colours. You are getting them half price if you go for your show bundle. I can't believe what Nicola's just told me in my ear. If you're platinum, you're getting these for £12 or $16 if you buy them with the Showstopper. I mean, that is absolutely incredible. Right, I've talked enough. You can comment away. We're not actually live, but you will be able to comment away, and we can read them at a later date. But there'll be someone there that'll be answering any questions that you got to ask. But we're going to head over to Craig and start this amazing craft along.
Rightio, let's do that. Let's start with our watercolour card. So I've got my watercolour card, and what we're going to do to start with is we're going to cut this to 3 3/4. So 3 3/4 by 5 1/2 here. Now what we are going to be doing is, let me just actually I'm going to take another piece here because I have jumped a step. So let's move that one there. So let's go back to 3 3/4. So the first layer, we're going to go in here 3 3/4 by 5 3/4. What we're going to do just shortly is we're going to then trim that a little bit smaller. The reason being is when it comes to your embossing folders, cardstock can shrink because all that detail has been pulled in and it needs to go somewhere into your card, so it takes it away from the edge. So we're going to make that a little bit smaller just shortly, but that is 3 3/4 by 5 3/4. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with some of the blue. So within this blue here, we've got our baby blue. We've also then got that navy, and I'm going to go in with another piece of white here. So firstly, we're going to go in is with, of course, this white. So this white, I only want a slither. So I'm going to come along, and if I go into the 3 3/4, I'm making sure I've got enough here, which I do. So I'm going to go just over that 3 3/4 by just over the 5 3/4, which is spot on. Perfect. Let's do a little trim within here. There we go. And then if I move that out the way, let's bring in our blue cards. This is like a baby blue that I've got here. And then for that one, I'm also going to give that a little bit of a little layer. So let's go 6 inch within that one. And then we're going to turn that one around, and then within that one, because 3 3/4, we're going to go in, and then we're going to give ourselves teeny little layer. So just over the 3 3/4. Going to trim that to just over the 5 3/4. So I'm going to have a thin layer, we can see here, just teeny layer. So I'll tell you what we're going to do is let's do a little trim. Actually, I don't need to because we're going to be trimming it anyway. And then we're going to go in with the blue. So I'm just making sure if I've got enough there. Nope. So we're going to turn it on its side. So we're going to go 6 inch. And then if we turn that one around, that will then, of course, be perfect at 4 inch. So we're going to have our main layers here. So if I bring these in on my card blank, we're going to have that nice frame all the way round. We're going to have our white card, and then this is where we're going to be doing our embossing. As I said, remember, we're going to be trimming that a little bit more just shortly. So if I move those bits out of the way, I'm going to then bring in the die. So I'm going to be using a couple of our circle dies here. So these are just our plain circle dies you may have got. And just so that you know, I am using the 5th and 6th one in from the end. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So move those bits out the way. And then I'm going to use the smallest one. So if I come in with that smallest one, and I'm going to go towards that left-hand side, and then I'm going to pop a little bit of tape, and then I'm just going to tape this down. And the reason being, Debbie, I'm doing this now, is if I emboss my cardstock first, then I was to come along with my die afterwards, because we're going to be running it through the Gemini again, it'll flatten some of that detail. So I'm going to do the cutting first.
Would you say nesting dies are a good addition to go with these folders?
Always, yeah, always. Whether you're just doing things such as simple mats and layers, sometimes you're maybe wanting to then create your own little pyramid effect and pyramage effect, which you can absolutely do. I think they're a staple for absolutely any projects. Why, for so long, we're all big fans of nesting dies, but I've been banging on to have some plain edge ones, and it's because they are so versatile.
And the good news is, Craig, I think the circles and the squares are still available on the website, so make sure you head across there to grab those.
And then also, you know, like answering your question there, Debbie, is we're now going to be essentially changing from a 4x6 embossed design. It's still 4x6, but we're going to have an aperture in there. So I've got it to the left-hand side. Could be the right-hand side. It could be top fold if you wanted it to be. That could be towards the bottom there. So you're just giving your folders a different look each time, should you wish to. And then what we're going to do while we're here, let's go in with a piece of white. And I am going to, just shortly, we're going to end up just framing that, just so it's a nice, clean finish. So I'm going to add these side by side, and I'm going to tape them down. A little bit of tape here and run them back through. Now when I cut that layer, and the same goes for this one, because these are simple shapes, what I'm doing is I'm using my base plate, my frosted and my top plate. I'm not using my magnetic because I don't need that extra pressure. I'm just taking out that extra shim that's not needed. What that's doing, reduces the pressure where it's not needed, but it'll also prolong your plates as well, because you've not got all that pressure where it's not needed. That's a really
good tip, Craig. And also it doesn't buckle the card if there's too much pressure, does there? That's amazing. Yeah, perfect.
And worst case scenario, Debbie, if it didn't cut, run it through again, but with your magnetic shim. So it's not as if you do something wrong. If it's a shape you're unsure of, we say simple shapes. If it's one that you're not sure of, give it a shot. Doesn't work, run it through again, but of course with your magnetic shim. So that you will see in the end, that's then going to frame it nicely. The reason being is because, although we're going to ink that up, it's going to tie it in because we've got our white matting layer. I know obviously just the way that it's built and it's white on white, it's a bit harder to see, but you can see the direction that we're going in. So let's take our cardstock, and then let's go in with that beautiful folder that we've got here. Now, before we go in and do the embossing, you can do the inking first, then emboss, or emboss, do the inking. I personally find it easier to do the inking first. So I'm going to go in with some baby blue. Always hard to see that light blue on the glass mat, but it is there. We're also going to go in with the ocean blue. And as Debbie was saying at the start, you could be using the pigments if you want to. You could use a variety of any of your ink pads, but we are sticking with the blue colour family in those threes. And then I'm going to add a little bit of water into that baby blue just now. And then what I'm going to do, Debbie, is I'm going to go in with bubble wrap that I've got.
Oh.
And then I'm just going to get a little pinch of it. Just adding a little bit more water. The baby blue will be a little bit harder to see at first.
I did wonder what you were going to do with the bubble wrap.
Yes, well, Just before the show, got Nick and Sam in the gallery, and Nick was on about blending the ink on, and I'd said to her, well, that's what the bubble wrap's here, and she just thought that I just had that left over from a parcel and I had it sitting on the desk. I was like, no, Nick, I am actually going to be using that to create that little bit of a background.
I love that.
So it's just nice, it's just to take, you know, a little bit of depth to it, instead of going in with maybe just the blending brush, which you know I'm a big fan of, but just something a little bit different. You get a little bit more of a stippled effect.
Love that.
Which will be more apparent as we go a little bit darker. And we're still going to be able to lightly blend together, because when we go in with the ocean blue, because we're going to have some water with it, it's going to start to work in with the actual light blue. So I'm going to repeat that step again. Let's just go in with one of our paint brushes, and we're just dabbing that one down. And then I'm going to do the same. Let's just pick up with the bubble wrap, and then we're just going to then...
I love that so much. It's so effective.
It gives it a look of, though it's been embossed with a folder, Debbie, but it's not. It's completely flat, completely smooth. And then we are essentially going to add and enhance onto that with an actual embossed folder. So I can go in with just plain water if I want to and start to blend those two together. And I say blend, you know, loosely, because they'll start to interact together and get a nice smoother lay down. And I'm just twisting and turning, and I'm using that same bit of bubble wrap. And you know, you could give it a wipe afterwards if you've not succumbed to popping it like many of us do. I'm going to then I want to go back with another bit of that light blue. So I'm taking all that excess water off, because what I don't want to do, Debbie, is put my ink pad into a puddle of water.
Yeah.
So I'm just drying that excess off. Going to go in, another bit of water, but even just a tiny, tiny bit. Don't want to dilute it too much. And then I'm just going to then pick up, and then once again, we can then overlay within that mid-tone, which was the ocean blue, and then just start to work that in. If you want to go with a little bit more of that mid-tone of the ocean blue over the top of the baby blue, you can do. Just twisting and turning as well, so you're starting to get a stippled kind of light snowfall effect that you're seeing down there. And then what I'm going to do, now I don't want to overpower with the midnight, because once we emboss with the folder, Debbie, we're going to go over with a light layer of the midnight. So I don't want to overpower what I've done. So I've just gone in, fair bit of water there, and then even just a little bit more, drag that in, take some excess off. If you need to go at there we go, that's it. Just being, the only reason I'm being a little bit careful is I don't want to undo all that layer of the light and the dark. On the other hand, I don't want to do too much, because as I say, we are going to be doing a layer of the midnight blue once we've embossed. And then I'm just going to finish off round about there. Happy with how that's starting to look. And then even just come in just with a plain bit of water. Oh, there's one pop. There we go. It's like fireworks night all over again.
Do you ever do that when you were kids and like couldn't wait when your mum got some bubble wrap out of the post, and you'd fight? I used to fight with my brother for it, because we'd always want the bubble wrap.
You just want the bubble wrap. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. Although, is it me, or is bubble wrap just not the same as it used to be?
It's not, because it used to be quite big. Like the bubbles would really pop.
Really, really pop. Whereas now it just isn't the same. And then now we've got that stippled background, which still, it looks lovely if you leave it like that. But what we're going to do, Debbie, is when we come back, we'll take a little bit of a break. We'll run it through the embossing folder. All that I'm going to do, Debbie, is just give it a helping hand just to dry it off. But that's it. I won't be doing anything else.
Oh, amazing. Right, while that's drying and while you're probably drying yours, we're just going to go for a little break, but we will be right back.
Day to day looks a normal day when I'm working from home. Get up, breakfast, quick phone call with my daughter, and then I'm up in the craft room and I spend all my time in the craft room. If it's spending the day with the grandkids, that's it. That's my best part of the day, just spending time with family and those gorgeous little grandkids of mine. The best part of the day when I'm at work is when I go on air, because I absolutely love it. Both. I prefer a shower in the morning. I feel fresh. I feel that I can tackle my day. However, depending on how that day's been, I also would have a double shower, so I'd have one in the morning and one at night too. Absolutely, 100% coffee. Will always be coffee, and flavoured coffee is my favourite at the moment. Dare I say, it's a full English breakfast, the full works, the beans, the tomatoes, the bacon, the sausage, and everything else that goes with a traditional English breakfast. Crafty. Every day of the week. I absolutely love going through the stages from the start of a project to the end of a project. So craft along is definitely my favourite. I can't leave without my lipstick. It's a given thing. I once didn't have lipstick on me, and Leanne helped me out that. Kick off the shoes, sit down for a couple of minutes, just gather my thoughts, and then grab my tea.
When I'm working, it's quite busy because I have to get up really early to come into work if I'm going to be travelling from London. But otherwise, I'm quite lazy. I spend a lot of time in bed. Best part of my day is when we come in and I get to see everybody. I really enjoy being up here. It's really nice to see all my friends, and this is my happy place. I do like to see everyone, and also, of course, if Christina's in, I'm getting my breakfast from Christina before I start the day. Early riser without a doubt. I'm in bed at 30. Bath at night, shower in the morning. I'm very clean. Tea, the colour of He-Man. Both. I like pancakes with bacon and maple syrup. Craft along, because there's always a softer side craft along. My phone, my life is my phone. Yeah, the phone and the dog. Unless I'm coming up here and I can't bring the dog in. My favourite lunch isn't lunch. My favourite lunch is afternoon tea. That's what I'd like. Lots of selection of sandwiches, some scones, or scones, some cream and jam, and some little cakes. But I couldn't have it every day because I'd be the size of a house. Oh, that changes to the moment. My favourite song at the moment is Natasha Bedingfield, Unwritten. Or make myself a cup of tea and go and have a bath.
Well, hello you lovely lot, and welcome back to Crafters TV. We are right sort of not quite midway, but we're heading into that half-hour point, so we've still got over half hour to go. So we're going to head straight back over to Craig and see what's next. What's next?
Rightio, Debbie. What we're going to do is we're going to take this circle with the die cut out. Now, I did die cut this out a little bit earlier than I needed to. So if you had cut your white card and do that stippled background over the whole lot, and then die cut your circle, and there's a reason why, which we'll go over just shortly. Anyway, doesn't really matter, it gives me an opportunity just to kind of show you that once again. Let's just go in with the baby blue. Just going to go in with another bit of the bubble wrap, and we're just going to pick that up into place, and then we're just going to start twist, turn, building up that light part of the blue. And you can either just press and just lift, or as I've said, you could go in and you could twist and turn. That's going to give you a little bit of a different look. Going to go in a little bit of water, this one now being the ocean blue. So it's the 3 colour families of blue when it comes to the water reactives, but by all means start to mix and match, have a play with other colours as well. let's just start to dab that light tone in. And then what we're going to do, very, 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 very light bit of water, this one now being the Midnight. We're just going to do exactly the same. Pick a little bit up, not too much, because this will in the end be where we cut our snowflake from. So I'm just going to go in. That I'm going to be fine. Let's just take some of that excess off our hands. You can of course just use a little cloth or something if you want. And then there we go. Happy with that. Let's just add just plain water there. Do a little bit of twisting, blending, and then there we go. Happy with that. So you could have, ideally what to do is do that all in a oneer and then cut out your circle. But as you can see, works both ways. So it's not something you need to panic about. So I'm going to take that excess off. Now at home, you know, I'd be doing what you're doing, and that is using up all that ink onto my watercolour card, create different backgrounds, and then getting different looks. If you were to do this with the liquid watercolours that were launched on Wednesday past with Sheena and Leanne, do exactly the same. Take the pipette and just pop it onto your glass mat or a tile or a craft mat, add a bit of water, and then go in with a bubble wrap. So it's exactly the same way.
Oh, that's a good idea. So you can use different mediums.
You can use different mediums, yeah. Just apply them the same way as I've just done there.
Do you have a favourite sort of technique that you use for embossing?
Well, my favourite ink pad to do techniques is water reactive.
Yep.
Absolutely love the water reactives. I do like the letterpress technique.
Yes.
I like that, and I like doing it on both sides, Debbie.
Yes.
Even if I know I'm going to be using one specific side,
yep,
I like to do it on both sides, because sometimes I surprise myself and be like,
yes,
oh, I like that side better.
Yeah.
Or even if I don't, it's a reminder for down the line.
That it works.
It looks nice on the other side. So probably the letterpress technique.
Yeah, I like the letterpress.
So what I'm going to do now is let's bring in our folder. So I'm going to just have a touchy feel here. So this side here with the purple logo in the back, this is the raised detail. So this is facing upwards. So we're going to pop that in. So we're going to line that up, and then we're going to close that. Now with it being a 3D folder, I'm going to go in base plate and then top plate. So this is for the G2. It's the same for the OG Gemini, original Gemini, and no it's not, there we go, we've got it right. You would think after, what's that, 5.5 years of working with a company, I would remember what a 3D folder is. So let's go in, once again, 3D folder. We're then going to go in with our magnetic and top plate. Now I did not do that on purpose, however, didn't it show, if you are new to the Gemini, didn't like it, so it stopped, and then it spat it out, not quite literally spat it out, but it paused and reversed out to say, don't like that, it's too thick. So try again. That way you know something not quite right there. And it also goes to show, even we do it. I've been with the company 5.5 years, and even I, every now and again, not forget the combination, but sometimes you're on automatic flow.
Yeah, thinking of something
just
else.
Skips, doesn't it? So now we've got that beautiful embossed detail with the snowflake. What I'm going to do, remember I said right at the start, we're still going to trim this a little bit. What I would always say, whenever you're embossing cardstock, if you are wanting it to a specific size, double check afterwards, because you've got all that embossed detail, that's all then been lifted up. So that excess, it has to come from somewhere. So sometimes your cardstock can shrink, even just by 1 millimetre or so. So I'm just wanting to line that up, which I can see it's shrunk ever so slightly. So what we're going to do now is just to even it up, let's go to 5.5. Now we're going to then cut this one to 3.5, but I want to make sure that I've got that even width at each side. So let's do 1/4 inch, turn it around and do the same. So this is now 3.5 by 5.5, and we're still at that perfect width, top and bottom. You can, if you wanted to, cut it straight to 3.5 by 5.5, but remember what I said there, when you're embossing, certainly with an embossing folder, it's 3D, sometimes your cardstock can shrink slightly because that card has to be pulled in from somewhere.
That's a good tip, Craig, yeah,
So
we do forget that.
Sometimes you forget, and then you've maybe pre-cut your layers, and then it's a little bit wonky, or it's a little bit of a different size than what you had before, maybe just one side's a little bit off, and not straight, and that is why you have to keep in mind it's got to come from somewhere, that emboss. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go in, and this is going to give us, of course, our white layer. But if I bring this in, I want to see that light blue layer through here. So what I'm going to do, this is where your paper trimmer's going to come in handy. And I'm going to go to 1/2 inch, and I'm just going to cut my card all the way around. So I'm lining it up to that 1/2 inch. If I need to trim a little bit more in a moment, I can do, but this is a good starter. Work our way around, work that in to create that frame, and then where we just need to connect, we can just go in with our scissors, just finish that off. Doesn't need to be neat because no one's going to see this bit. And then if I bring this back in, we pop that in, and then perfect. I don't need to do any trimming now because I can see straight through. Sometimes what can happen is maybe you'll see a little bit sticking out. All you could just do, Debbie, is just underneath, go around and just fussy cut lightly.
Okay,
but
that's
because
good.
I've got that perfect frame there, you can see now I've got my white frame, but I'm still able to see that baby blue through into there.
Perfect.
So we can then move that out the way. And then what we're then going to do here, let's use what we've been given. Now you can be using a blending tool if you want to. I'm going to use my fingers. Remember, your water reactive going to wash off, and I'm just going to make sure it's nice and flat. And then we're going to essentially, we're treating it like a gilding wax in some form. In that, we're just going to go direct over the top. And then I found lately, certainly with my ink pads or water reactive, I'm in more control than doing this with a blending tool, essentially because if you're doing it with a gilding wax, as always, you've got that control. You can decide, do you go heavier handed, do you go lighter? And of course, because we've only got that ink on the tip of our finger, it means from that 3D emboss, we are only picking up the tip of that embossed detail. So I'm just going to keep going back all the way through, like so with our finger.
I've not seen this done just with your hands before, Craig.
I've found I do have that little bit more control. You know, if you use your blending brush, which you all know that the blending pads, the square ones, I love them and I use them a lot, and you can do that with this job. But if you get a little bit of excess ink on the sponge, sometimes it can dip into that base layer. And I'm trying hard not to have that happen because I want to see that bubble wrap background stand through, but I still want to highlight all of these snowflakes, and I'm just using my finger. Now, although your water reactive is water-based and it'll wash off your hands, I'm not going to stay here and say that you will not be left with a tinted blue fingertip afterwards. So do keep that in mind, that you may be left with a little bit of a tinted blue finger. But either just pop on a little glove if you love this thought of doing it this way, or just refer back to the good old blending tool. But it means now that all that I'm getting is the tip of the snowflakes and not away into the back of the cardstock. And if I want to, I can just go a little bit heavier handed, same way as gilding wax, treat it. If you're unsure, treat it like you would do it with your gilding wax. You're just going in, taking a bit off, and then you're just keeping your finger flat. If you want it a little bit heavier in colour, just press down. But if you're wanting it still quite light, just keep it quite light as you're blending over the top here. And then we can start to work our way round. And then once we then finish off, which I am happy with that one, that we can see here, that we can
amazing.
sit to the side. And then we'll just do a couple of other steps, and then we'll take a little bit of a break for anyone that needs to then get caught up. But this one, what we'll do now is let's go in with the actual snowflake itself, the die. So I'm going to clean that up here. So let's go in with the snowflake die. So the outline, we're going to do this into white card. So we can take that little bit that we've got from the centre. Now, these aren't like create a cards, as in this snowflake will cut into your card and then add that and it'll release it. This will also completely cut out of your cardstock. So what I'm then going to do, and we're just going to use that circle because it's a perfect size. So we're going to use it instead of wasting it. So we're going to cut that into there. What I'll also do is that will give us a lovely circle aperture of a snowflake. So I'm going to pop that on and then that on. So let's tape that one down. So if I take that one out and just put a little bit of tape, and we're going to go in. Now for this, I am going to use the full plate configuration only because there's a fair bit of detail there. So frosted magnetic top plate. We're going to run that one through. So that'll give us our white background of that snowflake, and then of course we're going to have that distressed blue with the bubble wrap with the detail of the snowflake. So let's take that one out here. So there is our backdrop, which of course would also be left with a stencil if we need. And then this one, we're going to take it out. Now this, if you're careful with the card you take off, we could be using that as well. Now I'm not going to for this one, but we could be using it elsewhere. So I'm going to take the little snowflake out. So that backdrop we've created, we've now got it in snowflake form. And then the last little bit of cutting that I'll do, Debbie, before we take a break, is let's go in. I want a navy blue snowflake to do a drop shadow.
Yeah.
So instead of starting a new bit of cardstock, this is going to be the base layer. Now this is not going to be seen once you've layered it up. So let's just cut our snowflake into the middle. So if I align these ones up once again, run that one through, and then that means that the inky background of the snowflake that we've done, we'll do a drop shadow. It's going to go into that snowflake, and then all that I will do at this moment in time is essentially nothing. What I'll do is I'll just get myself tidied up, Debbie, but I won't do anything else, and then when we come back we can then start to finish it off, and then we can do the sentiment, which can I tell you, when it comes to this sentiment within this set, this collection, it's a prime example how this is worth its weight in gold with the thin sentiments that you get, and I'll show you that just shortly when we come back.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. We can't wait to see how this is coming together, but it's looking fabulous already. Right, we'll take a little short break, but stay right there and join us just in a minute.
It differs slightly depending how lively I'm feeling first thing in the morning. Sometimes I head to the gym. More often than not, I don't head to the gym. School run. After the school run, I'm normally in here, getting by about 10 o'clock. Chatting with the producer, whoever that might be on the day. So I've started going home a little bit more now, actually, in between shows. I only live about 5 minutes up the road. It's nice to take a bit of a break. Go and make a nice cheese sarnie. Yeah. Cheese. Love a cheese sandwich. Going home. I can't say the end of the day. You might want to keep this in. I can't say the end of the day, can I? The best part of the day is starting off and finding out what kind of a day it's going to be. Oh, probably night owl now. Never shower. Don't do it! That's a really good question again. I'm a bath man. I love a bath. Coffee in the morning, tea in the evening. No breakfast. I don't really have breakfast. I tend to sort of eat my first meal around lunchtime. Craft along. My waistcoats, my range of waistcoats, because you've always got to have plenty of waistcoats ready for the day. Is help the guys pack up. I know you're looking at me saying you don't do that. I do. I'm not one of those presenters that comes in, you know, doesn't help the backstage crew. I'm always helping out. You just ask anybody else.
come in, check my emails, then lay the shows out in the studio, set pack shots up. Then I will get new polls, pick shows, solve any problems that need solving. We deal with other teams where we receive market and suites, we receive boards. We pick samples to send to Hobby Maker. We pick samples to send to QVC. We will take the previous shows out of the studios, set the new shows up. We do floor manage occasionally, not all the time, making sure that the craft expert presenters have everything at hand that they need. Anything that they haven't got during shows, we will run about and get the products for them. I think on a morning when it's really quiet, I can get more done when there's nobody else in the building. Night owl. Morning. Coffee on a morning, tea the rest of the day. Savoury. Normally lunchtime. Craft along. Mobile phone. Christina's chicken wrap. Barry White. You're my first, my last, my everything. Go home and make the tea.
Hello and welcome back. I hope you're enjoying the craft along as much as I am. I'm just going to have a quick recap on what we've got in the craft along because it's the amazing embossing folders that only launched in birthday. They're the embossing folders that come with a die and a stamp set, so value for money. They are absolutely amazing. Now you can go for all four on the website, so if you just want the four of them, they are available there. But the best way to shop these is in that Showstopper that you can see, £44 or $52, which is incredible value because you also get in them some extras, which I'm going to show you in a second. But let's just have a look at the actual embossing folders and the dies and stamp sets that you get with them. So each one comes with a sentiment. This one is your spread your wings and fly. Love that one. So you've got the beautiful butterfly embossing and then you've got your die cut to go with it as well. Then we've got you are blooming wonderful, and that's got your gorgeous rose there, and then you've got all your foliage and roses in that gorgeous embossing folder. The next one we've got is two Christmas ones. You've got Season's Greetings from Our Home to Yours. I love that sentiment. I think it's really lovely. And you've got all that foliage and the poinsettias, including your die and that die cut. And then our last one here is your winter snowflakes, which is winter wishes and snowflake kisses, and that's the one that Craig's been using in this craft along. Now on top of that, for the Showstopper, you're also getting some additional items, including your sponges here and your ink applicator. So these are really good for applying all your ink. I know Craig's been using his finger to put the ink on, but if you use these you could use these on top, but great for blending lots of different things with your ink pads. We've then got your tape pen, so it's your dotty tape pen, which is incredible. That's coming to you as well. We've also got some luxury cardstock with your satin, your shiny and your glitter cardstock, 10 sheets of each with those ones, so your luxury silver. And then on top of that you are getting these darks. I love the dark Centuras. They are just beautiful to work with. You've got your browns, your golds, your blues, you've got that gorgeous bronze colour, and you've also got the greys in there as well. So that's a great pack to have. That's your darks. You're getting all of those in that Showstopper as well for $52 or £44. Now if you go for the Showstopper, don't forget to pick up your ink pads because these are only £12 extra if you go with them with your Showstopper, which is exceptional value. In these you're getting your pigment ink pads, which you know my favourite. They're opaque, they're beautiful, they're blending, your heat embossing, all those different techniques. We've got your sandstone, your Bordeaux, we've also got parakeet, we've got your damson wine, we've got your midnight and your topaz green, and then the last one in that you've got that beautiful plum jam. So all sort of Christmassy colours that you could be using with these embossing folders, which are going to look absolutely amazing. But make sure you go for the Showstopper. It's the only way that you're going to get these for £12 or $16, I believe, the cost of those in if you're platinum. So a really good price to go for those. Right, we're going to head back to Craig and get going with the craft along. We've literally got about 45 minutes left. So yes, let's head back over. Craig, what's next?
Rightio. So before we start to assemble, I'm going to show you something that one of many reasons that this is great with our new stamping platform. Now, I believe it's out of stock at the moment still, but it will be back in stock, I think anyway. We're going to check on that. But you will know from the past here, Debbie, what most people do, and you'll probably still do it, is that you will stamp your sentiment and then you will cut it. Because of course this one is small and this is delicate.
Yep.
Now you would never usually, so just to let you know, it is actually in stock. So our new stamping platform, the stencil stamping platform, is still in stock. So you can check that out on the website. Now what you would never usually do is that is die cut it, then stamp over the top, because it is so fine there's nowhere to stick your magnetic discs, as you can see here. So with our new stamping platform, you can, with ease, now stamp on a pre-cut layer. As I said a moment ago, many of you will probably still stamp, then die cut, but just so that I can show you, if I cut this out first, so we're going to go in with that small die cut, and obviously the sentiment's really, really dainty, with, of course, that script. Now, with our original 8x8 stamping platform, you will know that there is no way that you'd be able to stamp on that, because you'd need to put your discs down to hold it into place. So you just wouldn't be able to do it. The only alternative is little cheat ways that I've shown you in the past. Put tape on the back, secure it down, which, although that's a good tip, still a little bit of a faff. Whereas now, with our large stamping platform with that cling mat, that means that most delicate little die cut is held in place, and you can now come along with your sentiment, and then you can just overlay that over the top. Now I'm going to say to Sam, if we could come close up or envision, only because I'm going to stick my head in the way. So if you come face on to me, that just so that I can stick my head in, and you don't want to get an overhead view of my head, that's for sure. So all that I'm going to do
You've got
is
a nice mop of hair, Craig, so you're okay.
Oh, thank you. It's just, you know, maybe the bald spot's starting to come with the grey. The greys I don't mind. Bald spot's a little bit grey. If I turn completely grey, I don't mind. I'm happy with that. But now, I've now got that in the exact place. Now, I could not do that with the original platform because I would need the magnetic discs to hold it down. So I can now just go in and then ink that up with my ink pad. And I'm going to do something we don't usually do a lot, and I'm actually using my water reactive to stamp my sentiment, because our quick dry, I would say personally, are the best ones for that. But it just goes to show, if you do only have water reactive, you can absolutely take your water reactive and then use that to stamp with, press that in, lift. Now look at that, no discs whatsoever, and I've been able to get the perfect stamped impression.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Isn't it incredible? Now I'm going to reiterate what I said. The chances are many of you will still stamp first and then die cut, which is absolutely fine, but I just wanted to show you something that we couldn't do with our older stamping platform, and this collection is a prime example of what you could do now. So now that we've got that sentiment, let's take that die again, and then we're going to do that within a little bit of the navy blue. So let's jump ahead. We're just going to then pop that one through with that navy blue linen, or if you've got some within that bundle that Debbie was showing you, the Centura Pearl would work well as well. So let's open this one up here, and I'm going to have my nice drop shadow. And I want to have that drop shadow because that sits nice, but just having a bit of darkness works even better. So let's start to assemble this. Let's bring that into here. Looks nice, you could get away with that, but just even nicer, just finishing that off with your circular die cut. So let's go in with our tacky glue now. We're going to start to go round the edges with our tacky glue. And this card here, it is very, very, very easy, Debbie, to turn this into a shaker if you wanted to. Just pop your acetate onto the back of this panel here, and then, of course, just secure with your foam on a roll, and then you'll be able to turn it into a shaker. So you've definitely got options. So I'm just going to then nudge that into place just here. Remember I was saying before about cardstock moving. If you've got any little overlays or overhangs, just do a little bit of snipping. But let's press that down, and we're going to let that grab for a moment. Let's bring in our snowflakes, and I'm going to take that one there. So we're watching those little delicate bits. So I'm going to go in with my tacky glue, and I'm not going to go into each individual bit. All that I'm doing is running from the centre outwards. If you want to have those little bits that pop out, lifting up, you can do that. Those larger bits here in between each arm of the snowflake, I am popping a little bit on. And then we're going to do a drop shadow. So I'm going to get that as close to where I need it to be. And then I'm just going to then slide that into place. And I'm just doing my drop shadow the way that I would always do it. I hover and then I pull down slightly to the bottom right-hand corner and press that in here. And then what we're going to do before we add our foam pads, let's go in some of these beautiful, beautiful gems. So I'm going to go in with the blue here. So I'm going to go in with a few of the lighter ones. And then I'm going to go in, just need one of the dark ones. I'm just going to hold that down. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tap, and that helps turn a lot of them around. Now I have to say I popped up, it was maybe maybe about 2 weeks ago now, I actually popped up, Debbie, on Suzanne Gets Crafty stateside across on HSN.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And that was a little tip that she gave. And I thought, what a really, really good tip.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a feeling Debbie Robinson might do that as well.
Does she? Because I've got some of those little ridge trays, you know, if you've got diamond dots or crystal art, something like that. And they're great. And I've got one at the side of me. But I've just found, ever since I'd done that show with Suzanne, I found myself doing that a little bit more often as well.
It's good, isn't it, to pick up tips from other people?
It really, really is. And then carry them through and let all of you guys see. So I can just go in, I'm just using my pickup tool. So I've gone with the large snowflake within the middle, and then just halfway point throughout each of the arms. What we're doing is we're just doing a dot of glue and putting a small one in, like so. And that's the only gems that I'm using. I'm not putting any on the side of my cards. You can if you want, I'm not. But then all that I would just do is use my fingers and then just tap them into the gem and then pop them back into place. There's a silver one, no time at all. So really, really simple and easy. Let's bring in our sentiment, and we're going to do our drop shadow as well. That just gives the other layers that we've done with glue just a moment or two to grab. So let's press that in, move that in, drop shadow like so. Press that down. So now we can, let's go in with our foam pads here. So if I go in, I've got a big cluster of our foam pads. Let's see, usually we're looking for big foam pads. Now I'm looking for smaller because I do like my small foam pads. I know most people want large foam pads, but I'm still a big fan of even the small diddy ones because they still serve a purpose. So I'm going to chop that off, and then this one I'm only going to put a little bit of the actual foam pad on the centre on the back, and then all that I'm doing is, let's have a look, so my little gems popped off, so let's just press that in. So there we go, and then that can hover over the top. Let's get that lined up like so, and then I've got a little bit, not much, but a little bit of movement within the arms of the snowflake because I've only popped the snowflake underneath that centre point. So now let's go along and then let's start to assemble the rest of our layers here. So I'm just going round the edge with my tape runner. So we're going to then pop that into here. So let's just move that one out the way. If you do gut your cardstock, just be careful with that layer because it becomes a little bit more flexible. So if it does grab your card, you usually have a little bit of give time as long as you're not pressed too much. And we can see I've got a little bit of an overlap there. So I'm just following the edge of that die cut circle just to finish it off. So this is whereas before, what I was saying, Debbie, before I stick that together, we could go that way, we could go that way, we could go that way if we wanted to, with the snowflake there. So there's many, many ways in which you can kind of change the look. This one, let's pop on with some foam pads. I'm going to go in with a little bit of a deeper foam pad.
Your jacket's matching your make.
It is actually, isn't it? It is. Matching perfectly. Going in with that blue style, that crisp frost blue style. Let's just add one down there and one there. So before I stick that one on, let me add my tape. So these layers we're going to keep on flat. So we're going to go with the blue onto the navy. Then this one can go on flat within our card. This would also fit on just over a 4x6. But if you've been knowing my style for a while, you will know I do like a white border, a white frame all the way around, which is optional. I know not everyone likes that.
Yeah, I do as well.
Yeah, I keep saying a lot, Debbie, it pulls your eye in, but it really does. It frames your work, gives it that full framed look.
Absolutely.
And draws your eye in. So taking these off, let's pop that into here. So we've got a very fine light blue layer, but we can see the blue here. Let's come in with our snowflake again. This one I am also going to pop on this thicker foam pad. And
I was thinking you could also make this into a spinny card, couldn't you?
Oh, there's a good idea.
Done an aperture in your card.
I like that idea. That would work really well.
Exactly the same card, but just do it as a little spinny in the
Just spin
centre.
round. Yeah, because you could do that twice and stick that on the back of it so that as it spins round.
So pretty.
Great.
I love this card though. And I, like you say, I love the idea that you can put it any way you want.
Absolutely anywhere. Yeah, change it. Change the look. And sometimes what's nice, certainly at Christmas time, if you're batch making, whether it is to give or if you are to sell, you can use that theme, Debbie, but you can get, what, 3-4 different styles out of it?
Yes.
Even more if you change the size, if you go bigger or if you go square. If you were to go 6x6, you could go into opposite corners. So yeah, take that one style and then run with it.
And that's a great idea, Craig, because you could batch make these, and if you're like giving someone a gift of sending their own Christmas cards, like the kids, they could make these in all different styles, but sticking to that same thing or same theme, but just doing it in different angles.
Exactly, that's it. And then there we go. As I said, I've only added the gems on the snowflake. You can add more if you want to. But you can then, although we're talking about that theme and changing it, we could keep that style, but we could use any of the other 3 that are in that set as well.
Oh, I love that.
So you've got that with that bit of depth.
And also
there.
You've done it one colour. I mean, you think of all the different colours you could be doing those. I absolutely love that. I think it's beautiful. Thank you, Craig.
You're welcome.
Such a great project. I hope you're having a great weekend and crafting along. I'm sure Craig will love you to tag him in any makes that you do, and make sure that you do, because it's good to look at them. I'm just going to have another look for you at the actual balls of those embossing folders. This is the one Craig was using, which is your winter snowflakes, so you can see that beautiful, and look how gorgeous it is in that mirror cardstock. So it's just beautiful. And then you're getting that lovely snowflake, which you're going to be able to use on so many different projects. And then you've got your sentiment. You've also got the next Christmas ones. They've come in 2 Christmas ones and then 2 everyday ones. You've got your festive foliage as well with the poinsettia, and then you get your words on that one. We've then got our blooming florals. Love that one. Really pretty design. Just looks absolutely gorgeous. And then the last one is your splendid butterflies. And again, your embellishment, your embossing folder, and that stamp set sentiment. But remember, if you're going for your stamp and dies and your embossing folders, go for the Showstopper. It's the best value. You've got that there. You're getting your extra additional blending tools. You're getting your tape pen. You're also getting your cardstock. So you're getting your darks, which is your Centura Pearl in all those beautiful colours. I think you're getting, how much? 40 sheets. 40 sheets of 300 GSM Centura Pearl. And then you get an additional 30 sheets that can be embossed as well of your luxury mirror cardstock with your glitter cardstock as well. And then please don't forget, if you're platinum, add these in because you can get them for £12 or $16, which is absolutely amazing if you go for the Showstopper. Thank you so much for joining today. Craig, thank you so much.
Thank you, Debbie.
And we will see you again very soon. Take care. Have a good weekend. Bye for now.
Toodles.